We are now in 2023, January of 2023. And you know what else happened in the year of 2023? Avengers Endgame. So hopefully there's none of that happens this year, but we'll see. And welcome to my safe haven, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. Hopefully this is our year. Hopefully this is my year. Hopefully we all prosper and grow and experience wonderful things and an overabundance of wealth, happiness, and success coming this year. But if this is your first time checking me out, hey, how's it going? Let me introduce myself. My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek, and I always say the things that I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the force. I like to talk about superheroes, comic books, video games, action movies, horror movies, sci-fi movies, fantasy movies, animated movies, and of course I like to talk about Black representation and queer representation. So if that is something that you are interested in, if you think representation matters and representation equals normalization, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, become one of my safe Gaveneers here on the channel. Check out the other videos on my channel. Comment, watch, like, share, comment, interact on those videos for the all gay rhythm. Do me a favor, like I already said, hit that like button. That also helps and tells YouTube that this particular video is worth recommending to other people so more people can get their eyes on the channel, so more people can join the safe Gaveneers and my channel can continue to grow. But also with that said, as I'm sitting here waving my arm around, you guys can see there's a little new addition here on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel, and here on Black Gay Comic Geek, I got myself, your boy is tatted up. I got my first official tattoo that says, "Welcome to my safe Gaven." And I got it today. Actually makes 10 days since I got this tattoo, and for the most part, I am now officially done with the healing process. Like around here, it hurt. Like the whole thing was uncomfortable. Like it felt like a cat. I had a cat for years. It felt like a cat was scratching me the entire time. But right here around the wrist was the most uncomfortable. But yeah, the rest, like for me, I know some people are like, oh yeah, when I got a tattoo, certain parts, it felt really good or it didn't bother me at all. But for me, I'm waiting for the it feels good part. The whole time I was just like, I'm sitting on the tattoo bit. I'm like, I cannot wait for this to be over. I cannot wait for this to be over. I cannot wait for this to be over. But now that I got it, I have absolutely no regrets. And you know how they say is like, once you pop, the fun don't stop. I mean, even before I got this one, I had others planned. Like the next one I plan on getting, I want to get my name on my back in Wakandan letters. I also want to get, I say the things that I love in my fantasy has blood, sex, gore, and magic. I want to get blood, sex, gore, and magic in the same font that I have on my shirt and that you saw on the little edit thing that I'm going to put on here. I want to get it on my left leg. There's also a Buffy phrase that I want to get that she said episode 22 on season 5, where she talks to her sister Dawn right before she sacrifices herself. She tells Dawn, the hardest thing in this world is to live in it. Be brave. Live. And I feel like, especially now with everything that's going on, it's an important phrase. It's still important. And it does something I try to live by. So I want to get it probably like right here. And then also get like Buffy's scythe. Since I'm getting the tattoo here, get Buffy's scythe on like my side rib cage. And yeah, those will be the only ones that I plan on getting. I'm not going to go crazy with it. But yeah, so here we go. First journey in my tattoo journey. But anyway, with that said, we're not here to talk about the tatted up ink that I got on my arm. If you couldn't tell from the title of this video, we're in a new year. It is 2023, and with the new year comes new properties to come out. And so for this particular video, I want to come out and talk about, well, I'm already out, I came out at 19 years old, but I want to make a video and just talk about some of my most anticipated things that will be coming, or hopefully will be coming, or are rumored to be coming in 2023. And this isn't going to be like a long, extensive, exhaustive is that a word? But a long, like I'm not gonna go through literally every single thing that I'm excited about, but I'm gonna touch on like the things that have mostly called out to me. And I've also, for this particular video, I'm not gonna go through like the really obvious ones, like, you know, a lot of the superhero movies. Like, of course, I'm excited about Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. Of course, I'm excited about Transformers: Rise of the Beast, especially because it's directed by a black man, Stephen Caple Jr., who directed Creed 2, and he will actually be one of the rare black directors to be given a $100 million film. There's only a handful of directors you can only count them on one hand of the directors that have been given $100 million budgeted films. And now Stephen Caple Jr. enters that. I believe there's only 4 black directors. F. Gary Gray with Fast and Furious. I forgot which Fast and Furious movie, but he was the first. Ryan Coogler with Black Panther. Ava DuVernay with A Wrinkle in Time, Stephen Caple Jr. with Transformers, and then Nia DaCosta with the Marvels. As far as I know, they're the only directors to be allowed to direct a movie with an over $100 million budgeted movie. I'm not talking about a movie that makes over $100 million. I'm talking about the budget for the movie is $100+ million. Those are the only 5. So for many reasons, for many reasons, like that is one reason I'm really excited about Transformers. And of course, like Blue Beetle is coming this year. I'm not going to talk about those movies. Like, I feel like also a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, I'm excited about Ant-Man and the Wasp, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, for me, those are obvious, but this is the Black Gay Comic Geek channel. I'm going to talk about things that you're probably not going to hear other channels or other people talk about. And they might not be anticipated for you, but they're anticipated for me. And I'm gonna run the gamut. I'm talking about comics, video games, TV shows, movies, all of it. So yeah, let's get into it. And these are gonna be in no particular order. And so here we go. One of the things that I am most excited coming out of 2023 is the comic book series Storm and the Brotherhood, which is supposed to be coming, I believe, next month, February 2023. And it is by the same writer, Al Ewing, that has written X-Men Red. And X-Men Red was one of my favorite X-Men titles to come out of last year. And one thing that Al Ewing has definitely done in this new Krakoa line of X-Men books is he has definitely put some respect on the name of Aurora Monroe. In first and foremost, making her the queen of her own planet. You got Black Panther, who's the king of a nation. Storm, Aurora Monroe was ruling an entire planet. For those of you that don't read comics, the X-Men have terraformed Mars, and they relocated a lot of the mutants to Mars, which they now call Arakko. And Storm was the regent of Arakko. And she's no longer holding that title anymore. She gave it up to continue to do adventuring and things like that, but she still holds a seat on the main council. And this story picks up with her taking on the mantle of leader of the Brotherhood of Mutants after the death of Magneto in the last arc called X-Men Judgment Day. And so now you got Storm leading a book and leading a team of X-Men, leading a group of mutants. And while I'm not a fan of her look, she adopted a lot of Magneto's armor pieces, and she even has the Magneto helmet. I'm not a fan of the look, but I'm definitely excited to read a book written by Al Ewing. Al Ewing is one of my favorite comic writers at Marvel, and a Storm-led book. Like, come on, put some respect on the name of Storm. And I'm excited to see what adventure she gets up to, and hopefully it's a long-running series. And eventually it leads into her getting another solo series. And I can't wait to see her show up in the MCU, preferably, hopefully cast by a dark-skinned black woman. Next on the list, and again, this is in no particular order, but I'm excited to see what Megan ends up doing in the box office. Funny enough, I actually saw Megan a month ago in the very beginning of December. Thank you, Universal, for the screening. And so even though I saw it and I already got my, I know my thoughts, review will be coming out for that soon. I think it's still under review embargo. I think the review embargo lifts tomorrow. I have to look that up. But before I ended up seeing it, it was one of my most anticipated things to come in 2023. And just based on the trailer and then everything like that, I will admit though, I was a little disappointed that the movie wasn't rated R and it was PG-13. But having seen the movie, I can say, like, I'm not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna give it away, but Megan was one of the things that I was most anticipating for 2023. And I mean, just the fact that you got this like campy killer doll and, you know, playing homages to thing like, you know, Chucky, which is, you know, the first killer doll, and a little bit of like the Matrix and killer robots and AI Terminator things taken off. And then just the fact that they added it like to the TikTok generation with the doll dancing, and that dance has went viral. Like, I was just excited to check out Megan. And so, yeah. And I'm trying not to say too much because, like I said, I've already seen it. So, like, and this isn't a Megan review. So I'm trying to, you know, basically just wait for the review for Megan to be dropping. Maybe I'll record that tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm going to double check the review embargo. Maybe it'll come out tomorrow. But with that said, next on the list, which is also coming out in January, is HBO Max's The Last of Us, based on the very popular video game by Naughty Dog, also called The Last of Us. And I will say, like, as a gamer, the video game The Last of Us has been probably, especially narratively speaking, one of the best video games to come out in the last decade. And I literally just said in the beginning of this video, things I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic. And that game has it in spades. And I actually reviewed the most recent game, The Last of Us 2. A lot of people, there were people that didn't like the sequel. I enjoyed it. If you want to see my thoughts, if you're a new person to the channel, and you want to see my thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2, you can click the link up here. But like I said, narratively speaking, it's one of the best and most cinematic video games to come out in the last decade. So it can really work, especially as a television series. And so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the movie or the show in the series is just as incredible as the video games. Because let's be honest, when it comes to video game, the television, or video game, the movie adaptations, they haven't really had a great track record. So I'm hoping this is one of those properties and adaptations that defies the mold and is incredible. And I also know, because I didn't see it, but I've heard great things about the show Chernobyl, which is also on HBO Max. And they said that it was one of the best shows to hit HBO Max. It had very high ratings and got a lot of praise. And the person that was the showrunner for Chernobyl is also the showrunner for The Last of Us. So hopefully that is a foretelling and a sign of great things for The Last of Us. And I'm excited. I tried to get a screening for it, but HBO ignored me. So but it is what it is. Next property on the list. I believe this also comes out in January. There's a decent amount of things coming out in January that I'm excited about or optimistic about. I'm hoping this is good, but this is actually called Knock at the Cabin, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. And I know, like, M. Night Shyamalan is very, very, very hit or miss, and I will never forgive this man for The Last Airbender. Like, it's like he never watched the show, he never did his research. Like, who is Aang? And not even just Aang, but General Iroh, Zuko's uncle. There was a moment in the movie, a couple people called him General Iroh. In the fire, like, nothing about that movie was redeemable. But at the same time, M. Night Shyamalan does have some good movies on his, like the Sixth Sense. Why am I drawing a blank on the Alien movie? Signs, that was pretty decent. And then also, to go more recent, Split, I thought was a very good movie. I would say Split is probably my most favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. But then on the flip side, he incredibly disappointed me with the sequel, the follow-up, Glass. So I'm hoping, but watching the trailer for Knock at the Cabin, I was like, this actually looks pretty good. So I'm hoping that Knock at the Cabin is the more Split. We're getting the Split M. Night Shyamalan and not the Glass M. Night Shyamalan or The Last Airbender M. Night Shyamalan. And then on top of that, the fact that it is a thriller, I'm guessing a sci-fi thriller, not a fantasy thriller, but a sci-fi thriller, and the two leads are played by gay actors, and the two characters are a couple. They're a gay couple. That's not something that you see in the horror thriller genre, really, almost ever. So I'm excited about that. And then the fact that the two leads are Jonathan Groff, who most people know from Glee. He's the voice of Kristoff from Frozen. He was also the lead in, what's that show on Netflix? Mastermind, Master Mode. Master Mode is a Sentinel from X-Men. I can't think of the name of the show, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And then also, the other lead is Ben Aldridge, who I actually just recently saw in the movie Spoiler Alert, which I did review last year. You can click the link up here. That movie messed me up. That movie had me crying, and Ben Aldridge was part of the reason for that, who played one of the leads, Kit. And I thought he was a great actor. And I said when I reviewed that movie that I want to see more from Ben Aldridge. And here we are, 2023, we're getting a movie with Ben Aldridge in a thriller. So, in a queer thriller. So I'm excited about that. Again, representation matters, and representation equals normalization. And so hopefully, again, please, M. Night Shyamalan, let this be split M. Night Shyamalan and not The Last Airbender. But based on the trailer, I'm excited. But going back into the realm of video games, and this is rumored to be coming out in 2023. There's nothing confirmed, but I really hope, fingers crossed, that it fingers, arms, I can't cross my legs because the table, but like toes, all of it. Hopefully it comes out in 2023, but it is Dragon Age Dreadwolf. And I mentioned that in something else, again, I reviewed Dragon Age Absolution, which was the animated series on Netflix based off the video games. But I mentioned that I am a huge fan of the Dragon Age Origins world, lore, mythos, the characters. And Dragon Age Inquisition was one of my favorite games of PlayStation 4. I absolutely love that game. And I cannot wait to see the story continue in Dragon Age 4 Dreadwolf. And this show, or this video game, like the lore is so expansive, the characters are so interesting, and they have queer characters, black characters, trans characters. As a matter of fact, there's this character right here called Iron Bull, and my black male Inquisitor character romanced the Iron Bull, and they were basically married. And so, like, yeah, let me ride the Iron Bull once again. Another show that I am very excited about, and this is coming on Netflix, and they don't have an official release date, but it is coming out in 2023, and it is called Rustin. And it is about the life of Bayard Rustin, who was an iconic and legendary civil rights activist. And for those of you that don't know Rustin, Bayard Rustin, he was actually the architect of a lot of the civil rights movement, more specifically the March on Washington. And the reason that he wasn't the face of the civil rights movement and they chose Dr. Martin Luther King is because Bayard Rustin was an openly gay man. And for that time in the 50s, especially being a black openly gay man, and it's something they even talked about in Interview with the Vampire. One of the reasons I love being Interview with the Vampire, being an openly or just a queer, queer black man in the 50s, the 40s, whenever, all the way up until even being a black queer man now, because there are comments that I've been getting, but like especially back then, it was deemed as unacceptable. Back then, you could be locked up in jail for being openly gay, for being any type of queer, for being trans. You could be jailed, you could be gay bashed. It was much more frequent for those occurrences to happen. And considering he was such a giant in the civil rights movement, people don't talk about him a lot. And so I'm like, it's about time that he's getting a movie, or I think it's a show, a movie or a show. Regardless, it's about time he's getting the spotlight that he deserves. And greatly so, he's being played by another openly gay black male actor who you should know more recently. He was in Candyman. He played the main villain, so to speak. Coleman Domingo, he was also in Fear the Walking Dead, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Selma, and many other movies, Euphoria. But yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully it's good. Now, with that said, let me say that a lot of these movies, shows, comics, etc. that I'm talking about, I don't know if they're gonna be good or not. They might end up being terrible, but just in terms of like the trailer or just what they're about and what they represent, I'm anticipating and I'm excited about the potential of these franchises. So I just wanted to get that out the way. That doesn't necessarily mean, because they're not out yet. I haven't seen them, with the exception of Megan. I haven't seen them, so I don't know if they're going to be good, but I'm excited and highly anticipating them. And fingers crossed that everything on my list is just not only meets my expectations, but exceeds my expectations, and hopefully Rustin is one of them. Speaking of meeting and exceeding my expectations, something that I am excited about that exceeded my expectations when it came out last year is, and season 2 comes out this year, but it is season 2 of Our Flag Means Death. And I absolutely loved this show in season 1. And the thing that I loved most about this show is because a lot of times people are always quick to say, oh, why can't two men just be in a platonic relationship? Why does it always have to be gay? Why can't they just be friends? And I have to come in and say all the time and time again, it never is gay. I'm like, name me one mainstream movie, show, video game, comic book, whatever, where the two characters started out as a platonic, intimate friendship and it morphed into a queer romance, a gay romance. It pretty much never happens. And almost, like, again, time and time again, you always have these directors and even these actors talk about how much love these two men have for each other, how they're soulmates and how they would die for each other. And they're basically two sides of the same coin. And they always think they're constantly thinking about each other day in and day out and all this other stuff. But yet, it's not gay, bro. And that's not to say that you can't and you shouldn't have those types of relationships exist between men. But at the same time, sometimes it is just gay and sometimes that needs to be represented. And so, well, in terms of it finally happening, Our Flag Means Death, as far as I know, is the first time where you saw a platonic male friendship develop into a queer romance. And I absolutely loved it, and I was shocked by it. And it's not even just the fact that it was queer, but it was good. It was good acting. It was a good storyline, and so I'm excited to see what happens with these cast of pirates in season 2 and the relationship between Stede Bonnet and Blackbeard. And speaking of being excited about another queer relationship developing, season 2 of Heartstopper is also coming in 2023. Again, another show that I reviewed. It's from Netflix. And if you saw my review for Heartstopper, I just thought the show was incredibly cute. And while there are a lot of, teenage coming out stories, and sometimes it does get a little tired and monotonous, I felt like Heartstopper was very different than a lot of teenage coming out stories. And so I appreciated that difference, and I appreciate now that we know that both the main characters are played by queer men. Unfortunately, one of the leads, Kit Connor, was forced to come out the closet by trolls and bullies on Twitter. But at the end of the day, we know that you got two queer leads leading these and they're teenagers, something that you don't really see that often. And the show was great. The show was cute. And I'm excited to see the return of these characters for season 2. So if you haven't seen Heartstopper on Netflix, definitely check it out. And then also volume 5 of the comic book comes out in 2023. And I have the first 4 volumes. So that's another thing to add to my list of anticipated things, because I will be getting volume 5 when it comes out. Next on that list, Invincible season 2, Amazon Prime. And I did review every single episode for season 1. I will also be reviewing every single episode for season 2. I'll probably go live with Fantastic Frankie and Ron to talk Invincible season 2. And I am currently reading the comic book right now. I am on issue 42 of 144 issues. More than likely, I will be done with the entire comic book series by the time season 2 hits. But man, oh man, oh man, if you thought season 1 was batshit crazy, you are not ready for what happens later on in the like season 1, I would feel like is a dip. You're dipping your toe in the water of the level of ridiculous craziness that happens, the blood, sex, gore, and magic that happens in this series. But I am super excited. Hopefully season 2 has more episodes. I'm excited about the voice cast coming back because the voice cast was incredible. The animation was pretty good. Hopefully the animation gets even better with a bigger budget considering how beloved season 1 was. And so I'm excited to see Invincible continue, because as of right now, Invincible is turning out to be like an incredible comic book series and an incredible, like I said, I'm not done, so I don't know how it ends, but it is an incredible superhero story. And the thing that makes Invincible better than even like anything in Marvel and DC is because the consequences of Invincible carry over. And then also on top of that, Invincible eventually ends. There are only 144 issues of Invincible. It ran for like 10 plus years, but there is an end point to the story. So the story matters, as opposed to something like Marvel and DC where the characters are constantly rebooting and constantly reinventing themselves. And because they're never ending, a lot of the big changes ultimately don't matter because these characters end up going right back to the status quo. Peter Parker could become the CEO of Parker Industries, but they don't want to have him be too similar to Iron Man, so they end up having him be broke living with a roommate again because Peter Parker started as an everyman. But it's like, I want to see these characters evolve. And so I'm really hoping, and I'm very nervous about this new era of X-Men. I'm scared, and a lot of comic book people feel like it's going to happen at some point, that the X-Men are going to lose Krakoa and end up back at the Xavier Mansion again. And it's like, I don't want that to happen, but more than likely it's going to happen. But with Invincible, these decisions matter. These consequences matter. When a character dies, they don't get resurrected a year later like every comic book and Marvel and DC character does. But anyway, season 2 of Invincible, I'm excited about. But with that said, I don't want to make this video, have this video get too long, but because I can go down, like there are a lot of things that I'm excited about, you know, like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, like I said, the Marvels, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, et cetera, et cetera. But I just wanted to talk about the things that I'm excited about that I didn't really hear a lot of people talking about that are coming out this year. And interestingly enough, I did hear a lot of people talk about Percy Jackson and Lightning, like in terms of the book. I think the show is also coming out this year too. I've never read any of the books. I did see the one movie that came out with Logan Lerman. I thought it was all right, but they did say like people, there are a couple people that told me I really need to get into the books. And the reason I bring that up is because also coming out this year is a spinoff of Percy Jackson following the son of Hades and the son of Apollo. And they're both in a queer relation. They're both lovers. They're both gay lovers. And when I found out, when I was looking up things that are coming out this year, especially queer things that are coming out this year, and I saw that book, I was like, just the fact that it's a queer fantasy, but it got me automatically interested. But then I was like, oh crap, it's a spinoff of Percy Jackson. And I don't really know anything about Percy Jackson. So it makes me go like, maybe I need to read these Percy Jackson books so I have some background to these characters so I can check out this book. So that's another thing that's piqued my interest as far as coming out this year. But again, because I have no knowledge base of it, I do have to go. I feel like I need to listen to the Percy Jackson audiobooks to read this book. But that's another thing to add on the list in terms of like queer things that are coming in 2023. But yeah, with that said, what are some things that maybe I mentioned or didn't mention and with regards to coming out in 2023 that you are super excited to check out? Maybe what's your number one, or what are you most excited about in 2023? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, if you can, hit that like button for this video to really help out with the YouTube algorithm. And this one of your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.